Hey, so I'm doing great, obviously. I'm sitting for this wonderful dog. I've always felt super lucky that I get to sit for her. Getting to take care of her kind of fell into my lap a few years ago because her mom was a friend of my roommate at the time, and they were sort of in a pinch and didn't have anybody to take care of her when they went away, and I got to take care of her. So for the last few years, I've gotten to stay with her a few times a year. And she's a lovely dog. For the first few months of 2020, I decided to try to pursue professional dog sitting through a dog sitting app, which was interesting. I guess whenever all this is over, I may go back to it. It feels like a weird and awkward thing to try to do right now, but I will say she is just better than all the other dogs that I was sitting for. That's not true. One or two of them were very cute, but some of the dogs are just a bit nutty. And it always feels like people don't know what their own dog is like, or else they lie about what their dog is like. They're all worse than people say. But it is really fun to stay with dogs. And especially this lady, I don't want to brag too much, but staying with her is always so nice because she's such a sweet and friendly dog. And she lives near Fisherman's Wharf, which is kind of the really tacky, touristy part of San Francisco. So I just like it. There's something fun about, I guess, given that I've always lived in very kind of very fun and interesting, but very local neighborhoods of San Francisco, places where you don't really see people that aren't from there, which is actually a nice thing about living. She's a little nervous because she heard a noise. It's a nice thing about living in a place like that. But there's also something kind of fun about going somewhere that's like a tourist area in your own city. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm from Cape Cod, so it kind of feels like being at home. Yeah, so I like being here. It is interesting. I can see that this neighborhood, even though I don't think there's a lot of tourists or anything now, of course, I do think people are a little less masky and social distancy than they are where I live and where I work. I've been getting into internet fights about masks and stuff as usual. I think I've been doing this since the very beginning of Shelter in Place. From the beginning, I feel like I haven't really been able to grok a certain kind of sort of puritanicalness about doing the perfect and most safest thing. I feel like when this first started, every forum that I post in, people were obsessing over things like, if you live by yourself and you never see anyone and your partner also lives alone, is it wrong to visit with your partner? And then a bunch of people saying that that's a horrible thing to do, and you're killing people and you don't even care, and trying to explain how you're spreading COVID by doing this. And I feel like now the current issue that people are always having drama about is is it bad to wear a mask when you're outside by yourself because you could theoretically come around a corner and another person might be there? Wow, the color in this video is getting a little weird because the dog, I think, is kind of getting into the front of the frame, and so when the color adjusts for her, it starts to just completely wash me out. Well, I mean, not that that's a bad thing. I still put on makeup in the morning. I don't really know why, but my mask obviously rubs it off, so I look awful. Anyways, yeah, so I feel like now drama is all about masks, and it's saying that it's horrible if somebody can't wear a mask because they have a disability, and if you have such a bad disability you shouldn't even leave your house, and yeah, that you shouldn't wear one outside even if you're alone because you might run into somebody you don't know. What if you turn around a corner and someone's there? Or I don't, the thing I was reading the other day, this person was like trying to use studies that are about COVID traveling indoors and like trying to apply them to outdoors, which is not on. So anyway, I think like, I don't know why, but I've always spent too much time getting embroiled in these like discussions and trying to defend people doing like slightly possibly dangerous but like very low risk things for their mental health. I think it's because of my experiences growing up as an autistic person, like autistic burnout is so common, because I think a lot of the time autistic people try to look as if they don't have a disability, or try to sort of function at a more like productive level than they can like realistically actually do. And I think like because of that, a lot of people burn out at a really young age. So I feel like I had my first like extreme like symptoms of burnout and stuff when I was like 20 or 21. And like, I don't know, I think like experiencing that at a fairly young age made me really aware of kind of like how important sort of day-to-day quality of life is, and like meaning in life, and like small joys. And so like I guess I've just felt that sorry, she's very soft and distracting. I've felt that from the beginning, the idea that we were going to be really, really strict, and it was important to be like, if it's a choice between being like 100% safe, but like denying yourself things that will really mess with your mental health, versus like 99% safe, and like sort of taking small steps that will like make a big difference mentally. I think like 99% safe is better for a long period of time. So like I feel like I happen to be fairly strict just because, I don't know, for example, like I'm in a long distance relationship, so I couldn't see my partner anyway, you know? Whereas if they were local, I'm sure I would have been a lot more tempted to like break rules when you weren't supposed to see anyone. And like, then like with the mask thing, like I can wear a mask for like periods of time, and I can like always wear one indoors. So I basically follow the rules about masks. So I'm basically following the rules, but I am quite sympathetic to people who like aren't following the rules, or are like stretching the rules a bit more. And like, I don't know, it's just really hard for me to like be really mad or hostile toward people who are like mostly following the rules and making some exceptions. So I think sometimes when I sort of see people expressing opinions online that to me seem very like overly strict and like unfair to other people, I guess, it's kind of like, I often realize that they like live in a different part of the country or the world from me. And like, because things are so strict in San Francisco, I think it's very like, I can't really relate to the idea of like being in a store and like somebody like freaking out over having to wear a mask or refusing to wear a mask, because everybody has worn masks in stores here for like months and months. To the extent that there's mask drama, it's about people like not wearing a mask when they're like walking around outside, or yeah. So that's not even remotely controversial here. So I think a lot of the time I think that someone's being really strict about masks, and then like the person winds up explaining that they're actually talking about wearing a mask in like the grocery store or something, which I like wouldn't even question. Obviously you should do. Whereas, I might assume that they're being like, oh my gosh, I saw somebody walking by my house alone without a mask and like no one was around, but I hate them and they're an asshole. Yeah, which I just really, I just don't get it. Like, feeling air and wind on my face is kind of a big deal to me. And like, trying to like hike up hills and stuff and feel really overheated and have my mask like pressing into my face is like not fun, and tends to make me feel a little gnarly after a while. So, I try to walk in places where there aren't a lot of people so I can like take it on and off a lot. And really, I think that's what most people that I see are doing. But, there's some people who are like super against that and think it's really bad because they've like theorized that like there might be a small chance of it being harmful, when I don't think it's super likely. But My darling. I feel like this is going to cut off, like, not because I couldn't remember what I was going to say, but just because I was getting so distracted by the baby that it took a lot longer. Oh, look at her. So anyway, I was recently fussing with people on a San Francisco forum, which kind of surprised me because I realized that even people who live here where it's very strict definitely are still super weird and dramatic about masks. Like, you know, one of the things is that somebody kept being like, using the word like asshole, idiot, jerk about like anyone who quote unquote goes outside without a mask on, which is just like fucking weird to me. And basically everybody there who was like, I don't always wear a mask outside, was like me, had like a really specific explanation where they're like, it's not actually required if you're by yourself and no one is near you. I do like this and this. I like put it on if someone is near me. And like every person kept like arguing and saying that it was like a bad thing to do anyway, and complaining and being like, well, even if you put it on, like lots of other people don't, which is kind of moving the goalposts because like if you're saying that it's bad to not wear a mask outside, but then you do admit that you like don't think it's bad if no one is near you, like why did you say that in the first place? And one person that I found particularly weird was somebody posted saying, I don't know if this is like a national thing, but you know how fucking like Americans are or whatever, like people don't want to wear a mask because they found out that it doesn't protect them. So in San Francisco they've tried to like do this messaging to like encourage people to wear masks to protect other people. So like all the signs say like, your mask protects me, my mask protects you. So this person posted with fucking hand claps. Sorry babe, I don't want to upset you, but I have to clap to illustrate what the comment said. This person posted, when I walk by someone and they're not wearing a mask, I pull down my mask. If you don't protect me, I don't protect you. And like, oh my gosh, I feel like it was one of the most foul things I've seen. Like, it obviously makes things less safe if you do that. And like, I hope we should be at the point of like being able to understand that whether we personally get affected or whether an individual person gets infected, like, you're still spreading it. Sorry, what I mean is, even if you don't become sick or if someone else doesn't become sick, like, someone else that you don't even know might become sick. So the idea of trying to like potentially infect someone to like get back at them for potentially infecting you is like just extremely harmful and weird. And I don't know, just the idea that someone would take that messaging, which is obviously intended in like a really positive, like spirit of community type way, and basically be like, okay, if I don't get mine, then you don't get yours, is like so weird. Yeah, and I guess I just don't relate to the like super negative attitude toward people not wearing masks. And like, I think it's partly because I do think outdoor transmission risk is like somewhat low, especially in places that aren't crowded and when you're just passing by somebody. But I don't know, I guess I just think to pull down your mask sometimes or like not always wear your mask properly is very human, and people just forget and get distracted or like, you know, do have sensory issues or have some trouble breathing in a mask, so like they took it off and they like forgot to put it back on. I don't know. I feel very warm towards all of those types of human mistakes. And so like, I don't know, I generally feel friendly towards people that I see without a mask. I like make sure to wear one myself and like give them space or whatever because I want to follow the rules. But I also just like the idea of like saying something crabby to them or like complaining about them or like going online and making a post about what a shitty person I think they are and how they're like killing people and they don't even care. Like, it's just not really something that I can relate to. It just bothers me. Yeah, I guess that's all I was gonna say. This is something I've obviously been thinking about for the past few months. I just find like, this is a strange thing to say, but it actually kind of reminds me of like straw discourse. Remember straw discourse? you know, when people were saying that like coffee shops shouldn't have straws, and then other people said that some disabled people need straws, and a lot of people reacted with like incredible hostility, and were like, I don't know. It's just like, it feels like there's this weird, like, there's like a really huge global issue that is really serious, and people are focusing on really small individual things that are like a tiny drop in the bucket compared to things that are really harmful, like parties and schools. I don't know. I think it's weird. I feel like there's some kind of weird psychology behind it, because proportionally I feel like it doesn't really make sense, and I guess it sounds politically incorrect to say it or whatever, but I've felt from the beginning that like you should try not to deny yourself small pleasures, because like they really add up. And if something is low risk or no risk, like, and it's gonna make your life a lot better, you should do it. To clarify, I'm not advocating not wearing a mask when you're actually around people. I'm just advocating not like going around like loathing other people because you like walked by somebody who wasn't wearing a mask. Yeah, that's how I feel about that.